Welcome to our next episode of Bite Sized. I'm so glad that you're tuning in to see what the Lord has for us. Kids, I got a question for you. I've been asking almost every week. Do you remember what you learned in Sunday school last week? Well, if you remember, we talked about Joshua. We've actually talked about Joshua the last couple of weeks. And do you remember what they did this Sunday? Well, Joshua took the whole camp of Israel with the priests and the armed men and the Ark of the Covenant and the rearward camp of Israel. And they marched around the city of Jericho. They marched around the city of Jericho. And so we learned about Joshua's obedience to the Lord. Well, today I want to talk about obedience, but in a little bit of a different light. Read with me, listen as I read Ephesians 6, verses 1 and 2. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. And so the writer of Ephesians is reminding us that obeying our parents is just as important as obeying God. But how do the two correlate? Well, if you remember, God was showing Joshua that when they obey him, even if his requests, even if what he's telling Joshua didn't make sense, like we learned about, that the plan God had for Joshua worked out for his good. And so just like God, we have people like our parents that love us and care for us and want good for us. And so when they ask us to do things, the Bible tells us that we ought to obey them. Who are some other people that we ought to obey and be respectful towards? Well, I think of police officers, I think of school teachers, I think of our pastor. And so there's other people that God puts in our life that we ought to listen to and obey. And so my challenge to you is to use the story of Joshua and remember that obedience is something that is important that we exhibit. It doesn't matter if we're a kid or if we're an adult. We're supposed to obey what the Lord has for us. But there was a certain woman that lived in Jericho. Do you remember her name? Her name was Rahab. And she put her faith in the Lord. She obeyed what the spies told her. And guess what happened? God saved her life from being destroyed when they conquered Jericho. And so what we also see is that when we obey the Lord, when we obey our parents who want good things for us, guess what? Good things happen to us. And the Lord can save you today if you will put your faith in him and obey his word. That's his promise to Rahab, and that's the promise he makes to us. And so my challenge this week is the same as last week. I want you to tell me who was Rahab's son and what was important about him. Parents, my challenge to you is to follow the Splink link listed in the description and use those exercises with your kids this week to teach them the importance of this story on Joshua and Jericho. Thank you for tuning into Bite Size. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey!